What have you been up to? You with Impact now?
Yeah, man. Just as of Friday. Yeah.
What did your was that the day your contract came
So my deal was up at the end of the year. It wasn't up. I still have 2 years left.
Right.
But they called to roll me over.
Right.
Early December, sorry.
Right.
And I basically told them thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
And we had a couple conversations, and then I met with Mega, who's the head of legal at AEW, had a great conversation, and told her everything. And she basically was the go-between between me and TK, and he said he wanted to do right by me and let me out.
Right.
And it was just, because they were ready to lock me in to roll me over, and it was like,
like to do what? It's like you still got gas in the tank, right?
100%.
It's like you don't want to. It's like you don't want if you got gas in the tank, you don't want to sit in the garage in the last years of your career. So right. So it's just like go and make go and like get those your bump cards getting up there, but you still got some left.
Yep.
So it's like you
got
like
enough left. You got so much left. I'd still hit it. Nothing.
You'd still hit it. Good. Well, then I'm doing something right.
We were just talking about how handsome Frankie looks for his age. He's 45
for any age.
Sweetheart.
Yeah.
And when I first met him, he looked like Antonio Banderas. Remember, he had the long hair.
I remember that.
And remember that he went to WWE and they wanted him to cut it and he didn't want to, so they got rid of you, or you got heat. Which one was it, or both?
I basically left. That wasn't the reason, but I left. They could have told me to change my tights, and I would have left. I wasn't ready to be there, man.
I thought
didn't they want you to cut your hair?
They suggested it.
Okay.
I thought you were the lucky one in your relationship with Tracy, but like as the years go by, it's like maybe she's the lucky one. You
That's
got
what she says. Oh, yeah.
She still looks great too, bro. I saw her the other day doing an angle.
Right?
Yeah, just as beautiful as ever. Konnan, how you feeling, dude?
Good. I feel much better. I was in very, very terrible straits, and then I started this dialysis. And bro,
I've been listening, man. Good.
And it really, bro, I didn't have this type of energy before. I was really. Good. It was a chore to go through this. But let's start off hot, Frankie. All right?
All right.
I'm sure you heard me say this, but I want you to repeat it because I thought it was hilarious. Please tell Disco, because for people that are listening to the show, our boy Frankie, he's not the type of guy like me that's always in hot water, always has heat, always opinionated, always, saying that get like especially like online or. But Frankie, please say what you said in catering when you saw me in St. Louis. That was hilarious.
Man, I don't know about if you could maybe assist with some booking.
Yeah, it was it was a little more than that, but that was hilarious because I never expected that from you, and I was like, bro, how frustrated must Frankie, who never gets frustrated, and if he does, he doesn't show it, for him to come to catering where everybody's there, all the stooges. And he didn't give a and drop that line. I thought that was just hilarious and very telling of how, and we all like Tony. How can you not like him, right?
I absolutely agree, man.
Right. But, he had a ticking time bomb on his hands because you weren't the only one that complained to me.
I mean, it's this better than anyone. It's a selfless, thankless job. It's impossible to please it's impossible to please regular people, let alone wrestlers.
Right.
It's he's
who
in
are
a lose-lose
paranoid
situation. Oh God, yeah,
right.
But I honestly was just genuinely looking out, wanted the product, and still want the product to do better. And I think it could benefit with a couple other knowledgeable minds in there helping out. But that's just my opinion,
bro. But not because you're here, because I have no problem burying you, Frankie. But I thought you looked great on TV, and your debut in Impact was phenomenal. I loved it.
Thank you.
You had a match with Mike Bailey, was it right?
Yeah, that was last year. Yeah,
he had gone to AAA back in the day. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah,
but he had wrestled down there, and he was a talent back then. But he got caught crossing the border illegally or something, and so he couldn't for like 5 years. He could only wrestle in Canada.
Yeah.
But
I knew that.
Yes. So go ahead.
Well, like when we watch AEW, and we would, it's funny how the guys like you from the early Impact days, AJ, you, Saban, just like that whole crew of guys that like still had the principles of work from like our era. Like you guys were innovative, but you didn't go like way out there outside the box with like the stuff you were doing in the ring. Everybody knew how to throw a good looking punch.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to throw a good looking punch. you didn't do the spot where you're looking at the guy outside the ring and you turn around and jump step in place before you start running and hit the ropes in a comedic manner and jump where the guy dives on you and stuff. And you didn't do the Japanese forearm spot.
Yeah.
So like but it's funny too. It's like I watch your work and I'm like, Frankie's a solid worker and should be featured more on the show. But it's like I kind of see it kind of like sitting on the bench and like for all those guys.
Can I tell you my favorite? Can I tell you?
It was frustrating to watch.
Can I tell you my favorite? Can I tell you my favorite part? And I know you must get a kick out of this, Frankie. I love the spot where like 10 people stand up outside looking at the guy as he's going up the ropes. Okay, and then the guy
hugging each other a little bit.
Right, they're all putting together each other, and then the guy jumps, and they all go down like bowling pins, and the only thing you're missing is the bowling pin strike.
Yeah, I've been guilty of being a guy on the outside, especially in the ROH stuff, because that was just part of the style. But like, I reached a point where if that was going to happen, I would conveniently put myself completely away from it, so I didn't have to be involved with it. And Glenn, going back to your point, Glenn, like you got to remember, like at my core, I'm a Killer Kowalski guy, so like fundamentals were always super important. And even like when the X Division got going and these guys were doing these incredible acrobats and spots and everything. Like I did a little high flying, but I kind of got grouped in with like the Amazing Reds and the AJs. Like that wasn't necessarily my style. Can I work it? Absolutely.
I think you got because you guys were that age.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you were all the same age, kind of like younger. This is like the younger guys, right? Yeah.
But
Bro, what a shame, Frankie. I'm sorry to cut you off. What a shame that Amazing Red never made it bigger, because he was amazing, bro.
If you look, he may be the guy who has influenced the business more and gets credited
the least,
way less than 100%, man. Like the stuff he's doing, the stuff guys are doing now, like Red was doing like in early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like,
who's another guy who's a friend of his, and what a coincidence, they're both Puerto Rican, but his attitude doesn't help him any, is Low Key. I thought he was ridiculous.
Couldn't have said it better. He had such a cool look, such a cool vibe, just his voice, everything about him, man. Like I thought Low Key would be printing money for years.
Right.
It's just, I think he's, he's like a lot of us can be. He got in his own way a lot.
Right. He's his own worst enemy.
How old was Red when like around 2003 Impact when we did the
he had to be 20, yeah,
21. Remember, it's so funny because I would pick on him. Remember what he used to listen to before matches to get himself fired up on his earphones? His headphones. He used to listen to Japanese ring music, like Japanese ring entrance songs. I was like, "What?" I go, "Here, let me. What do you listen to?"
Let me tell you the
like, dude, what is this? Like,
let me tell you the most funniest thing about Red.
Right.
So I was always like, "Why are they calling him Amazing Red because he wears a red outfit?" But you remember he would always wear like a scarf or a hat, always, all the time, no matter what.
Do-rag,
like a do-rag.
yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
He always wore a do-rag. And one time he took the off and the hair was red. I was like, bro, why don't you let your hair out so people see that? And when I listen to his music, because I like to just all of a sudden randomly just take people's headphones and just to see what they're listening to. Sometimes I get some big stuff. One guy was listening to the Osmonds. I was like, what? But anyways, a Red would listen to, when it was first starting, reggaeton, like all the reggaeton from Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty
Yeah.
funny,
Before it blew up.
We go back to that era, the 2003, 2004 Impact when we're Nashville at the.
There was a lot of talent there.
Well, it was funny
much.
too, because like after there was a period of time like after like 2006 or so, like I was in Impact, but then I wasn't really watching any wrestling. I was kind of like out of the business. I wasn't paying attention to it. It's funny like how I couldn't put two and two together. I didn't realize like years later that Luke Hawx was Choir Boy Luke.
Altar Boy.
Altar Boy Luke. Altar Boy Luke. And then he turned into like some jack guy. And bro, think about that. Altar Boy Luke.
Yeah.
Plays Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Young
He looked like a different human being back then.
Bro, not only that,
crazy.
Yeah.
When I was in catering one day in WWE, Seth Rollins came up to me and he goes, "Hey, I once wrestled you guys in Impact or LAX, maybe it was Hernandez and Homicide, and I was a manager. He wrestled me. I'm not sure which one it was." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, yeah, it's on YouTube. And I looked on YouTube,
Crazy, man.
Bro, there's a match.
You just never know, right?
Oh, 100%.
Me and David Young have a squash match against Davari and Mr. Kennedy before they ever became so there's a lot of talent that came through. Bro, like you look at that. I still profess that work of the X Division guys, the inception, the creation of the X Division in Impact. I think that's still, to this day, if you go back and look at it, that's still the best like cruiserweight work going today. You can compare it to today, and you can even compare it to Eddie and Hoovy and all those guys. But bro, you guys were just started innovating. Like we had the Ultimate X match and stuff. Just like I thought that was like the beginning of like the innovation of like where cruiserweights started taking it to the next level.
Sure. The WCW cruiserweight certainly blazed the trail. And I think, the X Division guys picked up on that and took it to a different place. And those early TNA days that 2003, 2004, all the way up to like 2010, I have a lot of fans and people coming up and showing a lot of love for those days. Like people are finally like giving those days and those shows. Yeah. Because you look at the roster and you look at the shows, there's some incredible pay-per-views, some amazing matches. And I'm glad that people are finally, given that era its flowers, because 100%.
You know, it's funny too. Remember when me and because like Daniels, when it be like these big 10-man tag matches, they always stick me like to be the agent and stuff and everything.
Oh yeah,
and it was always funny. Like me and Daniels would always butt heads.
We'd always argue. There'd always be a giant.
We would always be arguing, but at the end of the day, we're friends and stuff. But it's still funny, like to think about like. Because you look at me and like I haven't really changed. My philosophy on wrestling is like, and the funniest thing is people don't understand. I was the agent for like a ton of that cruise, the exhibition stuff, and I would always be like, well, let's throw a transition. Try to like stick my shit in, but it's like you guys were just doing so much stuff. It's like, all right, okay, that's fine. But me and Daniels would always just argue. I kind of miss that because in retrospect, it's funny because I wonder what you guys kind of thought, like sitting there watching us, because like he was still one of the boys and I was the agent, and we're just like butting heads and arguing. And you guys are all kind of sitting back. What was going on through your head there?
I would just laugh because like it takes. CD's not one to get fired up easily, but for some reason with you, he would fire up, and we're trying to put together a 6-way scramble X Division match that has 4 that has 4 minutes, and and you guys are shouting at each other while we're just like, all right, it's just chaos, man.
But the product would be good.
Yeah,
like we get it on TV, we get all the shots, and it was like good TV. It's like so. Because
even if you guys had different ideas, the end result was always get the match over, get the segment over, get the guy. Everybody had the same goal.
Yeah. Fun.
When we did Chris Daniels and AJ Styles against LAX, everything about that was great, from the promos to the matches, and he came up with a great idea, which was we had bled them, right? And then I took my finger and I put it in his blood and I signed the contract in his blood.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which was really cool. Yeah.
That feud was money, man. I was just coming back into TNA at that point, and I remember that feud was money. Like you guys were firing on all cylinders.
Bro, right before I quit the company, Chris was really disgusted with the company too. I don't know if he left soon after, but I remember one day they had this party. They had an Impact party. Right?
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Me and him were outside, and I go, "Do you want to go inside?" And he goes, "Not really." I go, "Neither do I." I go, "This place," so we both left, and I think I quit the week after. But he was really fun. It was really fun that when we left Nashville and we went to Orlando, and it was like you, Sabin, Alex, the player from the Himalaya, Sanjay Dutt. That whole crew, Jay Lethal.
The first couple of, I remember the first month or so, we all rode together. You rode with me and CD and AJ, it was you. For when we first got down to Orlando, we used to go to that 24-hour fitness together and all that. That was cool. Yeah, man. That was.
Let me ask you a question.
Fun days.
Those 4 belts you got behind you, what are they?
Just like the titles I've had. Like
which one specifically though?
TNA X title right here. TNA tag, Ring of Honor tag, Ring of Honor 6-man, and this, oddly enough, just fell off. This is AEW tag.
It,
Just the belts I've had, the belts,
Well, at least you don't have
the Ring of
toys.
Honor. The Ring of Honor belt, the second one from the right there, that one over your shoulder, over your left shoulder. That one looks the best.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like it. No, Konnan,
Remember-
you know where there's toys? In my 10-year-old son's room where they belong.
Right, exactly.
I'm a grown,
You're the
I'm a
only
grown
guy
man.
that I've seen. You're the only guy I've seen with like his wife in the background.
Right,
you
yeah,
know?
because I'm a grown
Everybody
man.
Yeah, right. Everybody else has like toys.
What do you
Like,
think about that, Frankie?
What-
Like these guys, the toy and comic book culture that's kind of like
Look,
took over wrestling.
I loved comic books. I loved action figures. I can appreciate how, especially nowadays, how cool they look, the detail and all that. And thank God I'm not really a collector, because I would just get obsessed over it. But like at the end of the day, they're dolls, like they're toys. They're sold in the children's section. Like I'm all for people collecting it, but
Bro,
like
I agree with everything you said. I couldn't have said it better. I actually do. But it's like they're just there. What do you do? Talk to them, shake hands with them, give them a fig bath. What's going? I mean, what is the relationship?
When I had the toys when I was younger,
when I was 12.
I would take the toys and I would have them wrestle each other. I'd grab one and I'd play with the toys. It's like you can't sit there and tell me that these people that collect the toys are not playing with them. It's like, why look at this one? I mean, which for a good adult is very weird. And I'm sorry. I just, convince me that you don't play with those toys, because toys, you play with toys if you have them. Just having toys and not playing with them, I just don't believe you, Frankie. I still have a challenge out there to the listeners of our show that if you have a Konnan toy, to get a video of you touching it in inappropriate places.
Durban,
cool.
Durban has the new Konnan action figure. So you know,
bid on that.
The other day, Kevin Kleinrock, you know him,
Yep, I know.
friend of the show. All right.
Yep.
They made this new Konnan figure, right? And he was like, "Oh, what a nice toy! This is one of the best ones I've ever had," and all this, and people have been putting it over. And so he sent me a box. And he goes, "What do you think of the toy?" And I'm like, "I don't really know anything about toys. I don't know if this is good or bad, or you know what I'm saying? It looks
It's a freaking toy, yeah.
Yeah, it looks all right, but how do you differentiate like what's good? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, it's cool, yeah.
Like, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, it's cool, like, to have like an action, to have been made into an action figure is cool. And when I was a kid, I loved them. And when I see kids buying them and playing with them, I love them. That's cool. That's why we do that. It's just I don't connect with the grown up toy guys.
Right. You still respect them, because at one time you did it, right? But you're still like, dude, you're 30, 40, 50.
And I still
What's the
tell
deal
people, I'm like saying, I know there's like a comic book fans out there, and I know there's graphic novels and stuff, everything, but let's be honest, the comic book is the next progression, one step up from the coloring book. You have the coloring book, the comic book, the magazine, and the book.
Yeah.
Like
I will say this.
And it's like it's like at some point you should be reading the novels instead of the comic book.
Eventually,
right?
I will say this. I said this. I did Matt Cardona his podcast a while ago, and we did talk about toys and action figures. And I will say this, and I admitted that I was still collecting / playing with action figures when I was like in high school and like playing football. Right. And like there was instances where like I would like if I had a girl over and like I would have to like if we went into my room and like
hide the toys. My
closet would be open and there's my damn blue wrestling ring. I'm like, I have to like close it and everything. So there was. So I'm guilty too.
Bro, you don't know how we're gonna get solar heat on this just for this conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna get solar heat, so it's like just whatever. We don't.
I was a child.
So.
Even if you play, who cares? Even if you played football, bro, at 17, you're still a kid. You're still
a child,
right? You're still thinking kid like, right? But Frankie, have you ever had any more contact with anybody from our Lebanese trip? The promoter. Gama, any of those guys?
Kurgan?
No. I mean, it's Kurgan. I read on that Lebanon trip. I don't know if you remember this, Konnan, but the last night of the trip, a bunch of guys refused to wrestle because we weren't getting paid anymore.
Right.
And I was young and dumb and whatever, and so they needed time to fill. So the main event, the last night in Lebanon, is me versus Kurgan, and we went 25 minutes.
Holy,
Unbelievable! Yes, yeah. How I did it, I don't know. But no, you know what, man? Every time I see PCO, he was there.
Right.
Every once in a while, when I run into, every time I see Stevie Ray, the first thing I'll go up to him, I'll go, "Hey, man, this promoter in Lebanon wants to bring you in," and he just laughs and he just. But other than that,
nothing's going to ban nothing. What were you going to say?
I would say, other than you and the gentleman I just mentioned, no, I don't really. I have.
Bro,
no contact.
Nothing's going to ban you more than being in foreign country broke, not knowing if you're going to get out, and all those times that we'd be at that dilapidated hotel on the outside talking, remember?
Yep. Yeah, just sitting out by the pool, kind of.
I remember we were trying to talk to these girls, and they wouldn't talk to us in Lebanon like they wouldn't talk to foreigners.
No, they had nothing. One of them did tell us that they wanted to talk to us, but they weren't allowed to. Or if they were caught talking to us, they would get in trouble.
Right.
We're like, by who?
Right.
Who are you going to get in trouble?
I don't know. Maybe they're, but nothing like the Russian girls. They were down for whatever.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember the alligator show?
Which one?
So in Lebanon, right by our hotel, there was a sign and it says, "Come see a guy wrestle a live alligator."
No, I didn't see that. Did you?
No, you and I walked over and we watched it.
Oh, really?
It was the most. We sat up in the stands. There's probably 35 people there.
Right.
And there was one alligator and he was so gimmicked up.
Right.
Like he looked like he was like on like 30 somas or something.
Right.
And the guy's like opening, he's like, "Hey, watch this. I'm going to stick my head in his mouth." And he's like, "Hey." And the alligator just could not give a shit.
Right.
Like there was like, we were watching it and you're like, "This is brutal, man."
How high was I that I don't remember?
I don't know. You're also smoking hookah that trip, so who knows, man?
Yeah, bro. I went to this hash house, which was ridiculous, and it was awesome, bro. Lebanese hash is out of this world. But I can never
Well, you can smoke hash in Lebanon?
Yeah, and for
Really?
I will, bro. You can also go at any speed you want. You can basically do whatever you want except talk to women. Right. Yeah.
That's pretty funny, right?
But the two things that I remember the most, besides the Kurgan thing and like buildings that everywhere you went, they were full of bullets and holes. You were like, holy.
It was literally war torn, man. It was something out of a movie. It was
right.
crazy.
It was like a movie in front of your face.
Yeah.
You know,
it was insane.
Like the first time you go to New York and you're like, wow, this is what I've always seen in the movies. You know, this is New York. You know what I'm saying?
And this was less than a year out from like 9/11.
Right.
So like tensions were still super high, man. Like,
bro, we were on a bus, Disco. We were on a bus. You were on the same bus as I was. Mm-hmm. And they had brought us, there's a Christian part and a Muslim part, right? The Christian part is nice. The Muslim part is like the ghetto with, you know, security everywhere, kids with scars from picking up mines like that. And they actually took us outside of the bus in the Muslim part, and there was this Volkswagen with a speaker on top from Hamas, you know, which is a terrorist group. And we were asking our translator what they were saying on the loudspeaker, and they were saying, yeah, you know, death to America, you know, death to Israel. Please support by giving money here. And we were not too far away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Hezbollah headquarters was like a couple blocks away from our hotel.
Yo, what up? This is Konnan, and I host Keeping It 100, my co-host, Disco Inferno, unfortunately.
Well, I'd say you're my co-host.
Listen, every Thursday here on Spreaker, we talk pro wrestling, sports, movies, music, TV, pop culture, and some politics. It's everything the rest of the pro wrestling podcasts are not.
Tune in to hear myself, the superior one, educate and inform.
Tune in to hear me bury Disco.
That's very disrespectful.
Join us every Thursday on Spreaker and keep it 100. Boom!